Hi, everyone. I hope you had a great weekend. Today, our learning target is I can solve problems using the story problem routine. And we are talking about how we're going to solve the story problems. And specifically, we're going to talk about our UPS routine that we use, or I call it strategy sometimes. So let's go over that together. We've been doing this for a long time, so I know this is just going to be pretty much a refresher for you. Um, our UPS stands for understands, plan, and solve. So those are the steps that we take so that when we solve a story problem, we first understand the problem, then we plan how we're going to solve it, and then we solve it. So let's talk about what we do to understand a problem. First, of course, we read it. And hopefully, you're reading it about 3 times before you actually solve the problem, because that's usually what it takes for us to understand it. The first thing we do, though, is we read the problem and then we circle the numbers. And on mine, you guys, I have used the highlighting of the blue like I did here to show you guys that I've circled it. The second thing we do is we underline the question. And I've been doing that in the story problems. I hope you've been doing it at your house too. The third thing we do is we find that action word, and then we determine, is it an addition problem, is it a subtraction, or is it even both? Sometimes when we do our multi-step problem, we have both addition and subtraction in them. Then we go ahead and start planning. And when we plan, there are 2 things that we do. We write the equation from what we've understood in the problem. And then the next thing that we do is we pick a strategy that is efficient. It's on grade level. And the word efficient, all that means, guys, is that it's fast and it's accurate. So if something that we do is fast, but we don't get the right answer, then it's not considered an efficient strategy. But an efficient strategy that we have been learning and that it's on grade level is our in-part strategy. And that's the one that we want to know by the time we get to 3rd grade. The last thing that we do is we solve the problem. And of course, when we solve it using that strategy that we have chosen. We then box our answer so that whoever's reading our problem knows exactly what we think the answer is. And third, we justify it with a sentence and telling what we think that answer is and how it actually answers the question that's being asked. So let's look at a problem now, and let's talk about using this in-part strategy. Okay, so here is our problem, and it says Darwin went to the store and bought 32 Pokemon cards. When he saw Alexander, he gave 5 to Alexander. Then he saw Abdon and gave him 3. How many Pokemon cards did Darwin have left? So remember that when you're reading the story problem, you need to make that movie in your head. Because when we make the movie in our head, then we're able to sit and go, oh, okay, I'm either adding or I'm subtracting. That's the part of the movie that really helps us, is knowing whether we're adding or subtracting. So that helps us understand the problem. Let's go ahead and make this movie. So Darwin goes to the store and he buys some cards. And then he turns around and gives some to Alexander. And then he gives some to Abdon. And then I want to know what he has left. So if that's my problem, then I know what? Well, I know that I'm going to be subtracting. So let's go ahead and reread this, and let's go ahead and do our UPS. So we're going to underline we're going to circle the numbers. So Darwin went to the store and he bought 32 Pokemon cards. So we're going to take that 32, and I've highlighted it here. You're going to circle it. When he saw Alexander, he gave 5 to Alexander. So we need to go ahead and do the 5. Then he saw Abdon and he gave 3. How many Pokemon cards did he have left? Okay, so we've got our numbers highlighted. Now we're going to underline the question. And the question was, How many Pokemon cards did Darwin have left? Okay. Now we're going to find those action words, and we're going to go ahead and decide if it's a subtraction or addition. And we've already looked at that, and we know that when he went to the store and he bought something, that's an action word. So we've got bought, and that's something that you're going to take. Okay. And then he saw Alexander and he gave. So if he gave something away, that's a subtraction. And then he saw Abdon and he gave out some more. So that's another subtraction. So by the time we finish, we've got 2 subtraction problems, which tells us this is going to be a multi-step problem. Now, these numbers aren't big, so I bet you could probably do these in your head. But let's go ahead and look at this. So 32 minus 5 minus 2 equals x. That's what our x is. That's would be what our question mark. Okay. Remember that when we use an efficient strategy, that means that we need to do what is accurate and takes the least amount of time. This means that we're going to use our mental math that we take, but we're also going to show our work. So that's the important part of efficient. You've got to still be able to show me your work. So the story problem has multiple steps. First, Darwin bought something, then Darwin gives something away, and then Darwin gives something else away. All those steps are therefore required steps to solve the problem. So the multi-step problem, this just means that I have more than one equation that I'm going to solve. And if you noticed up at the top here, I highlighted the 35 minus 5. I did that for a reason because that is our first equation. And I'm going to solve that equation, and then I'm going to replace this yellow area with whatever my solved problem is and subtract 2 from it. So let's do that. So we're going to go down here and have 35 minus 5, and that's what I start with. So 35 minus 5 we know is 30. That's the first step. Then the second step is I take that 30 and I replace that first equation. That first equation, remember, was 35 minus 5. So now I have 30 minus 2, which gives me 28. Now I can justify my answer by telling you what the number 28 means. Darwin has 28 Pokemon cards left. And that's how I do it. So I have some problems for you, and I hope that you let me know if you have any questions on how to solve them. But the big thing here is we're going to go ahead and do that UPS routine that we do. I want you to do it for each one of these problems and see if it helps you to understand the problem and know what you're doing. Okay, guys, I'll see you next time.